Alright guys, so tonight's focus is on the hips, and we are going to start with our hip cars. Rather than doing them standing up, which is how we've done them so far, I'm going to show you another variation, which is the side-lying hip cars. So if you have a yoga block, grab that. Otherwise, just to grab a pillow or a cushion. It's just for your head to rest on. All right, guys. Let me just adjust the camera a bit. Okay. So we're going to lie down on our side. Just use that block or cushion, whatever you have as that pillow. Then guys, I want you to reach your arms out and just clasp your hands together. And then your hips and your knees are going to be at 90-degree angles. Almost like you're sitting in a chair. Now from here, guys, I want you to create some tension in your body. So squeeze your hands together, squeeze your abs. Now lift that top leg up slightly. Now you're going to move your knee up towards your chest as much as possible. Once you can't get any closer, you're going to reach your hip out to the side as much as you can without rolling backwards. Now we're going to internally rotate the hip and then start to extend and kick back. Keep that knee as high as you can until we're in full extension, and then bring your knees back together. Now from here, let's just go the same direction for 2 more reps. So bring the knee up to the chest, as high as you can, out to the side, making sure we're not rolling. Now internally rotate. Keep it slow and controlled as possible. Keep that knee high into extension. And then back to the start. 1 more rep in this direction, guys. So this is another way of doing your hip cars. I find it actually a little bit easier than doing the standing up ones. But some people find these harder. Alright guys, let's go the other way. So from here, you're going to kick back until you're in full hip extension. Then you're going to lift the knee out to the side. Keep that knee as high as you can. Reach of the knee for the armpit. Bring the knee back past the chest. And then start to go back into extension. So obviously gravity is now moving us down this way, so it makes a different part of the cars more challenging versus the standing up reps. Alright guys, last rep this direction on this leg. Fight for as much range of motion as possible. All right, good stuff, good stuff. I'm sure your hips feel awake now. Let's just flip over to the other side. Now, I did mention this on the other side, but just to be a little bit more clear about it, make sure we're not rolling this way onto our back as we're doing this. So you want to keep your hips just on top of each other like this. Otherwise, if we're doing this, then that's not our hips, right? All right, so clasp those hands together, create that tension in the body. Squeeze the abs, lift that top leg. Bring the knee up towards the chest. Out to the side. Internally rotate. Extend. And bring the knee back through. So yeah, we'll do all 3 reps this way and then we'll change directions. internally rotate. That's the hard part for me. Good stuff, guys. Make it as controlled as you can. All right, good stuff. Once you're done those 3 that way, reverse, kick back, squeeze the butt, lift that knee out to the side, keep it as high as you can, reach the knee towards the armpit, bring it back across the chest. Trying to only move this hip that is on our top leg. Fight for that. As much range of motion as possible without compensating. Last one, best one. All right, well done. Hips are warmed up now, I'm sure. All right, next thing we are going to do is work on our internal rotation in our hips. So rotation is the most important movement for our hips because it's an indication of how much space we have in our joint capsule. So if we're missing rotation, then that means our capsule is tight, similar to the shoulder. So you've got internal rotation this way, and then external rotation this way. So we're going to start working on the internal rotation from a position called bear sit. So you're going to get your hands behind you, get your feet wide, and then from here, let's start with the right leg. I want you to internally rotate and bring that knee in this way. But don't let your hips lift off the ground. So keep both of your sitting bones on the ground and just internally rotate. All right, guys, now from here, just take your right hand and just gently push down. Now, I want you to feel it up in the hip, sort of on the outside of your hip, close to your, I guess in between your hip flexors and your glute medius. So yeah, this sort of area here, that's where you should feel it. If anyone feels any pinching on the inside, that's what we want to avoid. So you may need to lean back further, or even you may need to lie all the way back, and that may get rid of that pinching. You can also play around with the position of your foot, so try moving it a bit wider. You might feel a better stretch. Yeah, just try to find that stretch up in the hip. And yeah, then if you feel enough stretch as it is, that's fine. Otherwise, take that hand on top and just gently push. Okay guys, so for PAILs and RAILs in this position, our PAILs, you're going to be pushing your foot into the ground and at the same time push your knee into your hand. Then our RAILs, we're trying to lift our foot off the mat and reach our knee down towards the mat. But remember, keep your sitting bones on the mat. Okay, let's start with our PAILs. So deep breath. Create some tension in your body. Start pushing into your hand and pushing your foot into the floor. Gradually ramp up that effort. 40%, 60%, 80%. 3, 2, 1. Switch to the RAILs. Engage as if you could lift your foot. It's probably not going to lift. And back to passive. Oh, I'm cramping up. Yeah, if you do get a cramp, guys, just briefly come out and then go back into the position. Make sure you let me know if you're feeling any pain either in the hip or in the knee, and I'll help you out.
I'm feeling it in my knee.
Okay.
Right here.
Try Try bend your knee a little more, so like move your foot towards you a bit more. Is that any better?
Not really.
Not really?
And sore anyway, so.
Okay, well what you can do also is actually let your sitting bones lift and then put that knee on the ground. And then twist so you're more, this is a 90-90 position, but at least the pressure is not on your knee then. But hopefully you still feel it in the hip. Is that better?
Yeah.
Good, good. All right, guys, let's switch sides. All right, so yeah, if your knees aren't in pain, then let's stick with the bear sit. So drop that left knee in. Otherwise, Jason, yeah, you just shift to this 90-90 position.
Yeah, it's only that knee. That's my problem pain.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, so yeah, again, we're looking for the stretch up in the outer hip up here. So yeah, we're gonna passive stretch for, we'll do 90 seconds, and then we'll do our pails and rails, and then we'll do another 30 seconds. Okay guys, take a deep breath. Engage that rest of your body. Start pushing up into your hand, push that foot into the ground. As you increase the effort, create more tension in your body. Come up to 60% effort, 80, max effort, 3, 2, 1. Now switch, try to lift that foot. Just engage, you should feel the muscle, your TFL up here by the hip working. And back to passive. And then hopefully you'll get a little more range of motion after the pails and rails. All right, guys, you can come out of this one. And now we're going to work on our external rotation. So rotating the other way. I'm going to give you a few options for this one as well. All right, so first option is going to be 90-90. So you're going to create 90-degree angle with the front leg and with the back leg. But you're going to face the front leg, keep your back straight or relatively straight, and then you're going to just fold forwards. And then you want to feel it in the outer hip. So out in this area. So that's one option for you guys. Second option is going to be, you can use either a bench or a couch or a bed, and you're then going to create that 90-degree angle up on the bench like this. So that's the second option. So whichever one you feel a good stretch in. And then from here, guys, we'll do the passive stretch plus the pails and rails. Again, guys, let me know if you feel any pain in these positions, and I'll try and adjust you. So with this one, guys, try to keep your spine tall and tilt from the pelvis. That's what's gonna really hit the hip. If you're rounding your back, it's not necessarily gonna stretch the hip. So it's all about that pelvic tilt. This one feels good to me anyway. All right, we're gonna do our pails and rails. So pails, we're driving this ankle into the floor. Rails, we're engaging as if we could lift the ankle. So 20% effort, start driving down. 40%, 60%, 80%, max effort. 3, 2, 1. Switch to the rails. You can even put your hand on top and try to push into your hand. 3, 2, 1. Back to passive. Okay, guys, come out of that side and we'll just switch sides. Same stretch. Again, guys, let me know if you have any pain, and make sure you feel it in the outer hip, which is our target area. Outer hip and also maybe back of the hip. You don't want to feel it in the front, basically. So in this passive stretch, try and relax, deep breaths, in contrast to the PAILs and RAILs where we're creating tension in our body. All right, guys, let's start our PAILs. Deep breath, create that tension, start pushing through the ankle into the floor. Ramp up that effort gradually all the way up to maximum. And switch to the rails. Try putting that hand on top, pushing up. Just try and feel some engagement. And back to passive. Let go of all that tension. Try and go deeper into the stretch. Okay, guys, come out of this one. So for our next stretch, we're going to work on our hip extension at the same time as internal rotation. So I'm going to use a kettlebell to block my foot, but you don't need to use a kettlebell. You can use a piece of furniture, you can use a post, bed, sofa, anything like that. Let me just plug my laptop in. All right, guys, you might also use PVC or even just a yoga block just for balance. So what you're going to do is lock your foot on one side of the post or whatever you have, but then come into this lunge position, and then I want you to square your hips up and then push your hips forward. So as you can see, my hip is in internal rotation as well as hip extension. I'm just going to switch actually the kettlebell to the heavier one. So yeah, we're internally rotating and extending. So guys, I want you to feel it in the hip flexor, but also on the outside slightly. So in this one, guys, our PAILs, we're going to be pushing our foot into the object. Then our rails, we're trying to rotate so our foot goes away from the object. So just another 10 seconds passive. Okay guys, now start to push into the object with your foot. 40% effort. Gradually increase it. 80% as long as there's no pain. Max effort. 3, 2, 1. Now engage as if you could lift your foot away from the object. It's probably not going to move. Just try to engage. And back to passive. And see if you can even turn your hips a little more and get a little more internal rotation. All right, well done. And we'll switch sides. So guys, if you're ever struggling with a stretch and you're kind of like, I don't really feel this, don't know what I'm supposed to be feeling, just feel free to ask and I'll help you out. So yeah, you're just trying to turn those hips and then push forward. Feel it in the front but also outer hip. All right, guys, let's start that PAILs. Push the foot into the object. 50, 60, 70, 80. And switch to the rails. You should feel the muscle right there trying to work. And back to passive. All right, good stuff. Coming out of that one. All right, next one, guys, we're gonna do a seated cross shin. So this is gonna work on our external rotation as well as hip flexion. So just gonna sit cross-legged. And what I put my kettlebell actually in front of me to give me a little leverage. I can hold on to that to pull forward if I want. Not necessary, but just an idea. You could grab onto something. So guys, we're gonna do 90 seconds and then we're gonna switch the cross of our legs. And I'll skip the pails and rails for this one because we're going to do pails and rails in the frog position after this. So yep, just fold forwards. You could actually also get a nice stretch in the lower back here as well. It's, yeah, so you could hit the hips and the back together by letting your back round. Or if you wanted to focus more on the hips, you could keep your back a bit straighter and just fold forward that way. Yeah. But yeah, even if I round my back, I still feel it in the hips, so I'm just going to do both. All right, guys, so yeah, just put your other leg in front and go back into it. Probably feels a little strange if you don't do this regularly. Okay guys, come on out of that one. All right, and we're gonna set up for our frog stretch. Okay guys, so this one, from the hands and knees, just get your knees as wide as you can. And I want you to keep your feet in line with your knees. Now from here, if you feel a good stretch up on the arms, up on the hands I mean, that's totally fine. Or you can lower down onto the elbows. And then you're just going to gently try to sit your hips back towards your ankles. On this one, guys, try to keep a neutral spine. So yeah, if you feel like your back is really rounded, then you might be better at coming up onto the hands. Or you might need to come out of the stretch slightly and try to get that back neutral before going back into it.
I actually find it harder on the hands. When I'm up my hands, I find it harder in my hips than it does when I'm in my elbows.
Okay. Yeah, if you feel a better stretch on the hands, that's totally fine. You can go for that. All right, guys, this one we are going to do the pails. So pails, we're going to be pushing our feet and our knees together into the floor. So you can do this a number of ways. You can do just push your feet down or just push your knees down. We'll do both together for this one. And then instead of doing rails, we're going to do some lift-offs. So basically, I want you to try to lift your ankles off the ground and then gently put them down. If you have to, you might need to just come a little bit out of the stretch until you can get those ankles off the floor. That's okay. All right, guys, so first of all, this pails. Deep breath. Start pushing through the knees and the feet together as if you could close your legs. Ramp up that effort. Come up to 60. 80, max effort, 3, 2, 1. All right, guys, now if you can, just lift the feet off the ground and then gently put them back down. And we'll go for 10 reps. If you need to, just lean forward slightly until you can get that lift off. All right, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, just an inch off the ground, 7, and 8, and 9, and 10. And just stay in the stretch a little longer. All right, guys, come on out of that one. Just lean forwards and lie down. So we're going to give our hips a little bit of a break and do the saddle. And then the last thing for the day, guys, we're going to do our squat holds together. So yeah, just sit on the knees like this. If you want to, you can also lean back. And if you need, you can put cushions or put an ab mat or something under the ankles if you're feeling it in the ankles. Or you could also like elevate the hips and sit on a cushion if it's too much for the knees. You could even also tuck the toes like this if that's better on the ankles for you. We won't be in here for too long, guys, just to give your hips a bit of a break. Okay guys, come on out. Last thing for tonight, we're just going to do our 2-minute squat hold. So you can, if you're comfortable sitting, Jason's saying, you saying 3 minutes, Jason?
You did 3 minutes?
Yes, you're correct. 3 minutes for this week.
That was more because I wanted you to suffer, Brad. I love it. I already did my freaking squat hold today.
Yeah, all right. So 3 minutes. So yeah, you can either, if you're okay and just on the ground, you can go for that, or you can hold on to something. Or you can also sit on something. So if you need to, you can take yoga blocks or whatever you have and just sit down like that. All right, guys, we're gonna get started. Ready, set, go. This is no problem for Denise. Denise does this all the time. All right, that's 1 minute done, guys. So yeah, try to stay in the whole 3 minutes, but if it's too much, you can come out. That's halfway. Nice job, guys. Last thing for the night. All right, last minute, guys. You can do it. So hopefully your hips feel opened up. I know for me in this position, it's actually my ankles that are the limiting factor. But we will have a class on the ankles. And if ankles are an issue for you, we'll work on that in the one-on-ones as well. 20 seconds. And done. All right, guys, just lie down on your back. Take some deep breaths. celebrate the win of coming to tonight's session. Seems like everyone is so busy these days at work. But you guys all made the time and effort to come to this session tonight to improve your mobility and help your body feel better. And it's all going to pay off. Just keep showing up. All right, guys. We'll leave it there for tonight.